Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? How is censorship defined? Sensorality is to algorithm what rhythm is to logarithm. A logarithm is an exponent. So we continue on with our linguistic analysis, our unique chronological progression, until we arrive at a definition. How is a sensor rigorously, naturally defined in fundamental physics? So we just can progress through our steps. Again, my rights continue to be profoundly and extensively violated. It continues to put profound and extensive strain on my relationship with my parents. Obviously, nobody cares, and my property's been destroyed. I'll never have a family of my own. I continue to seek asylum outside of the United States. My rights are violated so profoundly that there is no way for me to have a career and a family, or simply take care of my health, or simply buy food. Not an exaggeration in any way, we say it in every video, but we move on. And so, again, just ultimately looking to arrive at this definition. This is a well-defined process of linguistic analysis, which is a comprehensive to the entire logical structure that we can use to articulate things and prove things. And so, last time we really got to, again, this whole structure is unique, right? That was the sensorality is to algorithm what rhythm is to logarithm. Kind of this basing or this pairing to logarithm and algorithm, direct linguistic iterations, conceptually different meanings, but just overall, what is an exponent? And so we had this moving directly into our steps. Exponentiation is basic iteration. So I put that on the screen last time, but you're stating here is something, some number, some whatever, and then you're raising it to a power, right? The power itself is the exponent. And so not the whole, again, what are our fundamental mathematical operators, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponentiation, and we always kind of, throughout this derivation and logically, what is the opposite of exponentiation? Right? It's a unique operator, it's a unique operation. And the way we represent that symbolically is, right, we have a to the n, a being a base and n being the exponent. So specifically our operative word, what is a logarithm? An exponent, but we have overall this form of a base and an exponent or a power, and it's this relationship of self-iteration. We have a base a and we're multiplying it n times. So directly, literally, exponentiation is basic iteration. You have a base and you're iterating that to a given power. That is exponentiation. But specifically, when you write a to the n, the exponent itself is the n, and then this overall logarithm is a relationship between a base and an exponent. And then we get iteration, right? What is iteration to multiplication? When you're stating an exponent or this relationship of a base and an exponent, a to the n, right, you're always saying multiplication. And then exponentiation is just like fast multiplication, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, right? It's this fastest growing mathematical representation we have, again, paired to this exponential growth of the universe in the past. And now where we're at, again, the conceptualization is completely resolved, but where we're at with sensorality right now is we still don't, again, it doesn't make sense to say the universe expanded. Currently in R3, right, the universe is cooling down, things are contracting, but just in general, the correct energy, again, not even energy doesn't make sense, movement potential is exclusive to R3, but before we've said energy stabilized into mass. The best intuitive picture, again, is your static TV stabilizing into a signal where you can resolve, where you can see things. So that's not congruent or doesn't make sense to motion, to things like going places. Point being is, what is exponential growth really paired to? Right now, again, it's this inflation of the past, and it almost certainly is. Again, I directly personally forget the conceptual resolution, but any inconsistency is directly progressed from the language itself. And so again, just what does exponential growth, where does that conceptualization, what does that pair to? Because it can't mean more mass. Again, just pointing out exactly where we're at in this derivation. The overall fundamental physics is completely known and proven. But what is iteration to multiplication? What is times to timing? right? Multiplication is times. Momentum is mass times velocity. Timing is everything. And so why do we have this operative word times for multiplying? What is iteration to identification? Right? It's a statement of self-operation. Exponentiation is identification. This general conceptual use of the words, hey, we have one thing, A, and we're iterating it n times. What is integration to identification? Classification is filtration. Natural definition, and again emphasizing the placement of classification, that FI to the FI of filtration. Sensorality is classificationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is classification to description? What is description to prescription? Sensorality prescribes, direct iteration, scribe, prescribe. What is classification to categorization? Kind of, weird pronunciation. Again, just commenting on the overall flow. Because again, that's the same way, there's a natural cadence to presenting logic, and then that's the same thing you're seeing when you skim or you read through a book, and then your eyes naturally lock into a given sentence. All right, there's just this fundamental geometric relationship of logical progression. There's rhythm to it when you present it. It kind of messes the pronunciation, right? Categorization sounded kind of funny there. But in the same way, you skim through a book and you can see, you lock onto the logic. Rhythm regulates just your pace of speaking. In a natural fundamental sense to the syllables. What is algorality to categorality? Sensorality is categorality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is exponentiation potent? Direct iteration. Right? Is power potent? A power is an exponent. You can hear that containment directly. What is exponentiation to gravitation? What is potentiality to exponentiality? Is pertinent potent? Sensorality is potent content. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is poignant buoyant? Direct iteration. What is viewership to championship? Sensorality is interviewershipality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Amalgamation, viewership, interviewershipality. What is censorship to championship? Sensorality is potential censorship. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is a customer base. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is custom consumption. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality appreciates exponential potential. Direct iteration. What is experientiality to exponentiality? Sensorality is experience. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is experience an experiment? What is experience to excitement? Sensorality is an exciting experience. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, emphasizing we are developing a general linguistic form in which we'll directly derive consensus sentiment statement containing our letter structure of sensorality. What is sense to experience? What is experience to influence? Sensorality filters experience. Direct iteration. Is experience required? What is experience to violence? What is filtering to sensing? Sensorality senses fulfillment. Direct iteration. Fulfillment satiates. What is sensation to satiation? What is sensation to exponentiation? Sensorality is potent sensation. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is seasonality to sensonality? So now those again are two big linguistic containments of sensorality. Sensodorality has additional conceptualization, and then directly linguistically, or geometrically, sensonality. Just emphasizing that RN closure, congruence, completing. What is sensonality to reasonality? Sensonability is reasonability. What is personability to reasonability? Is reason personable? Is personable reasonable? Is personable perishable? Fundamental theorem of biology, death is perishability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Perishability is obsolescence. Perishability is senescence. Natural definition, death is obsolete. Fundamentally, linguistically, you can't say anything about death. It is obsolete. It is irrelevant. It cannot be spoken about. But there's no logical structure, right? All language is directly literal, paired to physics, paired to experience, something, some process, so on and so forth. Sensorality is the theme of obsolete. Natural definition, direct iteration. Obsolete, complete. Sensorality differentiates exponentiation. Sensorality differentiates identity, direct iteration. What is identification to proliferation? What is proliferation to addition? What is proliferation to protection? What is ply to multiply? So now again, when we have, exponent, power. Logarithm is a relationship between a base and an exponent. Right, so that's a fundamental definition of what a logarithm is. But we produce this operative word, multiplication, multiply. But wait a second, multiply, pliability. Right, we had ality, iterate that by a bi, we get ability with this fundamental geometric relationship B and G. Agility, that's not super relevant for this linguistic progression, but ality, ability, liability, pliability, multipliability. Right? Sensorality is multipliability. Natural definition, direct iteration, fundamental theorem of mathematics. Directly, conceptually progressing and linguistically iterating a fundamental operation. What is multiplication to placation? Is placation playful? Direct iteration. What is placation to placebo? Direct iteration. What is pliability to exponentiation? Is experimentation pliable? Pliability experiments. Direct iteration. What is absorption to appreciation? Is none the opposite of one? Direct iteration, emphasizing none, one. You see the word forms. Does proliferation multiply? Single ply, double ply, multiply. What is multi-pliability? Go forth and multiply. I wonder where we've heard that phrase before. Multi is many. One, two, multi. But again, it's that prefixing. Fundamental, or multi is many, natural definition, many, maniac. Sensorality is manic, sensorality is panic. Fundamental theorem of emotion. Natural definition, direct iteration. An exponent is a power. Natural definition. Again, that is such a fundamental definition that is not articulated. What is a logarithm? A relationship between a base and an exponent. Again, self-operation, self-iteration, but just the overall statement when you say a to the n, right? It's not just exponentiation is this relationship between base and exponent, not just the exponent. Super obvious, but super simple, but true and not articulated. What is a base to a power? Sensorality is a power base. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is exponentiality to multipliability? Is multipliability multiplicative? Direct iteration. Sensorality is multiplicality. What is multiplication to exponentiation? Sensorality multiplies power. Direct iteration. Sensorality is multipliality. Sensorality is pliality or pliality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is reality pliable? Direct iteration, are lies pliable? Are lies polite? Direct iteration. What is pliability to portability? Seasonality is seasonality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, emphasizing our linguistic containments. Sensodorality contains the word odor with conceptualization, but sensonality, what is sonality? Right, there's no added conceptualization. And then just moving along. Sensonality is seasonality. What is a season to a sector? What is a sector to a tensor? Seasonality is sectorality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is season easy? Again, I know we've had sensorality is easy season. See how we're getting it's this order, and we're having to manipulate this overall chronology to find this consequence of what is a sensor. So I explicitly remember hitting this one, but again, it's like we're reducing or we're structuring this logic where a simple question elicits the letter structure of what a sensor is. So that is season easy? Is just kind of like the changing of the order of sensorality is easy season. Sensorality is seasonability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensonability is seasonability. What is sensorability to seasonability? What is sensorability to sensonability? Just kind of like sensodorality. I kind of stumbled through the pronunciation that first time. Sensordor. I don't know if sensonality, right? Just sensorality, complete the R to the N, that has a natural pronunciation or not. It's not striking me as anything fundamental right now. Ality to ability as a suffix is a trivial linguistic step. Are seasons reasonable? Direct iteration. A reasonable season is temperate. Natural definition, direct iteration. So we're going to get to this completeness of logic where it's just like you just state what sensorality is and there's no context needed because the words are unique and it can only mean one thing. What is capitulation to hemorrhaging? The spelling of hemorrhaging was an interesting linguistic construction. Sensorality, hemorrhages. Direct iteration. Fundamental theorem of medicine. Sensorality is a hemorrhage. Natural definition, direct iteration. Brad, I don't think that's the most comprehensive thing you can say about medicine. Well, Johnny, it's the most undefined syllability in medicine, so it is. Oh. Again, we're isolating on things that are not well defined. What is a hemorrhage to a mortgage? Sensorality gauges mortgage. Direct iteration. What is language to mortgage? Direct iteration, emphasis on the gauge and the gwidge. Is mortgage a liability? Is debt a liability? Emphasizing this D, base E, B, fundamental geometric relationship with a T at the end. Sensorality is debt. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality eases debt. Direct iteration. Are mortgages pliable? Sensorality refis. Direct iteration. Refinance. What is many to plenty? Sensorality is plentiful. Plentiful is bountiful. Hit that a bunch. Sensorality is a bounty. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality counts bounty. Direct iteration. What is a bounty to a ransom? Sensorality is a handsome ransom. Sensorality is a pretty penny. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is trivial petty? Sensorality is pretentious. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is tension to pretension? Conceptually, that progress, pretentious, pretension. All right, see how that well defines it? And then linguistically, we just have the word pretension. Keep that in mind. Direct iteration. Sensorality is pretension. Sensorality is pretensionability. Natural definition, direct iteration, the ability to be pretentious. But linguistically, just prefix, tension, word, which is an iteration of sension, because this is a complete unique iteration, and then finalizing suffix ality. Because again, there's some sort of centralization to the actual word form of sensor, sensations, this completable section of syllability, which I still think is sensorality with a C, spelled C-E-N-S-E-R. But again, that overall, because way back when, like you can see part like 1 something where it's like we've proven the spellings. But again, that is truly like the finalization of the proof. No point to conjecture, but that step should come back at some point. What is personability to pretensionability? Is personability pretentious? What is personality to seasonality? Direct iteration. Is seasonality appreciated? Season, arson. Is arson reasonable? Direct iteration. Again, emphasizing the word form arson contains all of the letters of reason except for the E, just in a different order. What is actionability to reasonability? What is action to decision? What is decision to precision? Sensorality is precisionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is personality to precisionality? What is reasonability to personality? We just hit that one. Sensorality is personal. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is personality to identity? Sensorality is central to identity. Direct iteration, again, exponentiation is relationship between an exponent, a power, and a base, is self-iteration. It's a self-operation. What is iteration to operation? What is identification to centralization? Sensorality realizes identity. Direct iteration. Sensorality realizes it is what it is. What is realization to stabilization? We're trying to stabilize the definition of sensorality by showing its complete iteration of its syllability. The letters in the conceptualization of sensorality is contained over here. People say this over here all of the time. That letter structure completes this word family and gives us our rigorous fundamental physical definition. What is a sensor? Is stability real? Is reality stable? Yep, we look at the half-lives on the electron and the proton, they're pretty stable. We look at the antimatter particles, they're not, because you're just smashing shit together. Bad Billy, bad Sean Carroll. Table, stable. Does stability resonate? Again, emphasizing that sonate, sensonality, resonate. What is resonance to fluency? What is fluency to classification? What is classification to modification? Sensorality modifies mechanism. Direct iteration. What is organism to mechanism? Does multipliability iterate? What is multipliability to malleability? Is malleable manageable? That's right, that is a direct linguistic expansion. Multiplication, multiply, multipliability. And now we have this conceptualization, multiply, multipliability, pliability. Malleable always has this conceptualization of metal, but pliable, malleable, the same type of workable. It can be stretched into a thin sheet, some sort of elasticity form. But it's always been, right? The word multiply has always contained that natural extension linguistically. Sensorality is manageability, natural definition, direct iteration, balance, manages. Sensorality is plan management, natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is tolerable, sensorality is tolerability, sensorality is intolerability. Natural definition, direct iteration. So again, massive steps, this linguistic expansion of multiply, multipliability, as well as, again, from rhythm to algorithm, and algorithm, iteration, logarithm, operative word exponent, but the exponent is the power. In that formalism, when you see a to the n, that is a base to a power, a self-iteration, basic iteration, a self-operation of multiplication. And so, multipliability to exponentiation, drawing some sort of definitive fundamental mathematical operator from our linguistics. Right? We have to have this complete novelty to define something because of infinite uniqueness. Sensorality is what it is, and it is only one. This fundamental stability of two, linguistically, physically, gives us its unique syllability, prime syllables, so to speak. But my rights continue to be violated. Like I said, it's destroyed my life, it has destroyed my property. I continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. The crimes are so substantial and so present. The clear value of my property is so overwhelming. Why can't anybody give me a little bit of money? Nobody will, nobody cares. To my estate, take literally everything. This world is failure, complete and total moral failure, and each day goes by and still nobody cares. But that is what I have for today. One less day to have a potential to have the chance to have any sort of relationship with my parents' family, as well as obviously I'll never have a family of my own. I'll never have a career of my own. I'll never be able to buy food. I'll never be able to have any sort of stability or safety, and nobody cares. But that is what I have for today, and I continue to ask for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.